As the 2024 US presidential election polling day goes on, both parties face significant vulnerabilities, making the race highly unpredictable. With the election poised to become one of the closest and most uncertain in recent memory, there are 4 potential scenarios that could determine the winner. Each scenario is plausible, with strengths and weaknesses cancelling each other out, but the final result could swing in unexpected directions. In this scenario, Vice President Kamala Harris wins decisively, drawing a clear line between her administration and former President Donald Trump's controversial tenure. Despite current challenges, including low approval ratings for President Biden and discontent with the status quo, Democrats have performed well in recent elections since Trump's upset victory in 2016. The overturning of Roe v. Wade, the January 6th Capitol attack, and the threats to democracy have galvanized voters in favor of the Democratic cause. If voters focus on these issues, particularly abortion rights and democracy, Harris could see a blowout victory. She leads by significant margins on these issues in national polls, and an election performance outperforming her numbers by even 2 points could secure her over 300 electoral college votes. Such a victory could surprise many, as Harris has gained traction among traditionally conservative voters, including older white voters, and even in states like Iowa. This scenario imagines a tight repeat of the 2020 race with the same battleground states and close margins. While President Biden narrowly defeated Trump in 2020, that victory was hard-won, and many of the same dynamics, which is polarized political divides and slim margins in key states, remain. Even as polling shows Harris performing competitively in battleground states such as Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, the underlying tightness of the race suggests that one small shift could determine the outcome. If Harris underperforms among key demographics like young, black, or Hispanic voters, Trump could narrowly win the Electoral College despite trailing in the popular vote. The 2024 election would thus likely reflect the deep polarization of the country, with neither candidate able to decisively break through. In this scenario, the 2024 election reflects the fragmentation seen in the 2022 midterms, where Republicans performed well in some regions while Democrats excelled in others. Despite a closely contested race, key states like New York and Florida could swing heavily towards Trump, while states like Michigan and Wisconsin might favor Harris. This scenario would suggest a realignment of voter preferences influenced by issues like crime, abortion rights, and economic anxiety. The 2022 elections highlighted how national trends are often mediated by local concerns. That is, Democrats succeeded by holding onto their strongholds, while Republicans capitalized on unrest in areas like the Sun Belt. While this race would be closely contested with several states up for grabs, Harris would face a challenging map without the Sun Belt states. If the 2024 election results in a decisive victory for Donald Trump, it will likely be seen as a culmination of longer-term realignment in American politics. On paper, this should be a Republican year. That is, Biden's approval ratings are low and voters are dissatisfied with the direction of the country. Trump's strength, especially among white working-class voters, has already reshaped the political landscape. The realignment scenario reflects the changes Trump has made within the Republican Party and his appeal among a broader range of voters, including younger and non-white voters. With polls showing Trump's base growing in traditionally Democratic regions, especially in key battleground states like Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Arizona, his path to victory could involve significant wins in the Sun Belt and the Rust Belt. Trump's improved numbers in early voting, particularly in Republican-leaning states, signal a potential surge of support. A decisive Trump victory would indicate the culmination of a decade of political shifts, potentially marking the start of a new era in American politics. This scenario would also reveal the degree to which both major parties have been reshaped by Trump's populist brand of conservatism. Ultimately, the 2024 US presidential election remains deeply uncertain, with both parties facing significant hurdles. While current polling shows a tight race, there are several plausible scenarios that could tilt the election in one direction or another. The outcome will depend on voter turnout, issues like abortion, immigration, and whether the polls accurately capture the preferences of key voter groups. Whether it's a democratic repudiation, a repeat of 2020 or 2022, or a landslide victory for Trump, the 2024 election promises to be one of the most closely watched and fiercely contested in the modern United States history.